Let's add this. Let's remove this. Can everybody hear me okay? That doesn't hello, hello? No, I gotta shut it down, guys. Let me reboot. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Hello? Hello, hello. Everybody hear me? There we go. Aaron heard me. Let's go Rams. Let me know if you're hearing me okay. I should be okay right now. I had a little bit of a technical issue here. I don't know what's going on, but two different windows showed up and my sound was bad. So you heard me before. Hopefully you're hearing me now. I got to pull up the box score. I am so sorry. I had it all and I had to shut down. I'll do that while I talk. Welcome everybody to Final Score, my post game show. CSU versus Nevada today. The Rams found a way to come away with a very good, very solid 79-71 victory. It was a game that was a little bit in doubt in the first half as Nevada came out and established themselves very, very early. And CSU struggled, luckily shot the threes very well. Here we go. The game stats will be coming up soon. There we go. Everybody hear me okay? Just let me know. Here we go. Let's go. I see here. Actually, they shouldn't. This is the first time. I usually have everything set up before I leave for the game. So anyway, let's pull up. I want to pull up I'm going to pull up the box score right away, and I want to pull up the first half because it was a very, very interesting first half as Nevada came out and looked very, very prepared for the Rams. They were having their way offensively. And fortunately, CSU shot the three well because they were having a hell of a time getting the ball inside. And let's see. Well, I'm going to pull up. Let me pull up the first half box for CSU. Rams. It was 9 for 20 in the first half. All of 2 for 7 from 2, 7 for 13 from 3. They stayed in the game. They opened the game. I believe they made it was 5 of their first 6 at least, maybe 6 of their first 7, but everybody was making threes. Jalen Crocker Johnson continues his way of always starting the game off by making a three. We saw Kyan Evans. We saw Lake make a couple. We saw Keyshawn Williams and Bourne come in off the bench, and lo and behold, the Rams did a good job shooting, but they were getting worked pretty well by Nevada. And let me pull up the visitor stats in the first half because I think you'll see a very different story. Nevada, 29 shots to CSU's 20, only 2 turnovers. CSU, how many turnovers in the first half? 9. 9-2 in turnovers. That's 7 lost possessions, 30% turnover rate. Rams were scoring at 1.1 points per possession with a 30% turnover rate. You cut that thing in half, and lo and behold, you're sitting at about a 1.3, 1.4 points per possession. So it was not good. Defense let's see, Corey with the comment, defense and turnovers in the first half. The defense was, I'm going to give Nevada credit. Nevada ran some pretty good stuff in the first half, Corey, and we were struggling just to defend them. Nick Davidson was killing us. Kobe Sanders was killing us, and Tyler Rawlison was killing us as well. Let me get rid of this background. This will look a little better. But the turnovers were ridiculous because so many of them were unforced. There were just guys dribbling the ball out of bounds, throwing the ball out of bounds, dribbling into nowhere. And instead of getting aggressive and going to the rim, turning around and going up in the air. And it was a poor first half. And all I can say is how the Rams were within 3 is a testament to 2 things. Number one, the team's focus and their commitment on the defensive side as they kind of cleaned it up in the last 8 minutes. I think they were down as many. I don't think they ever went down 10. I think they went down 8. But they cleaned it up and kind of wormed their way back into the game from the free throw line, and figured out a way to go in down only 3 at half, which was, to be honest with you, just incredible. Here we go. We couldn't even dribble the ball, dropping the ball and kicking around. Yeah. We'll get to this in a second, Aaron. That was probably the critical part in the game. And I'll make some comments on that because I think CSU got some breaks today. Neek has become so good at letting the game come to him. I thought he was forcing it a little bit in the first 10 minutes, Lee, to be honest with you. I thought he took a couple of fall away jumpers instead of attacking and distributing, but he was matched up on Nick Davidson at least once and could have just taken an easy just stopped and taken just a little step back jumper instead of a turnaround fall away. And I think it would have been a little more successful. I thought he forced it and then he calmed down. Once he got to the free throw line, he started getting comfortable, and then the shots started falling for him. How did everybody feel at halftime? Let me know how you were feeling at halftime. I was actually feeling pretty good. There was 2 factors working for me. Number one, like I said, the fact that we were within 3 and playing horribly. And like I said, credit to Nevada. Nick Davidson was a load inside. He was too much for Mbemba in the beginning. Rashawn settled down and did a better job. Crocker Johnson was having trouble with Brandon Love, and Morton was as well. And we struggled, but then we figured out a way to tighten things up. Here's Lee's comment. How do we feel in the first half? Lucky to be down only 3. Yeah, yeah. And here it is. I felt better after Mbemba made the free throw. Yeah, and 1 with 4 seconds to go. And I believe that foul wasn't on Davidson. That was on, I believe, Love. But you talked about, I want to go back to that comment, the 4 fouls on Davidson. There was a second foul called on him that I thought was a horrible call. And it came right after they had made a horrible call against Rashawn Mbemba. They called a foul when Brandon Love, I believe, was completely out of control and threw up this absolute crap. And they called a foul on Rashawn. And it was nowhere near a foul. It was the biggest bailout. It was probably the worst call I've seen in Moby all year. But it was quickly followed up by a makeup call at the other end with a foul as Davidson was going after an offensive rebound. And there may have been some contact with Mbemba, but from my angle, there wasn't a foul. That was a 50-50 play, and I would prefer that doesn't get called. And that second foul was big because Kobe Sanders had gone to the bench early in the about 8 minutes to go, I think, with his third foul in the first half. And if you don't think that was a big factor, they led about by 8 when Kobe Sanders went out, picked up his third foul, and CSU closed it. They reeled him in, and a lot of it was Nevada was struggling on the offensive side. The attack stalled, and a lot of the reason the attack stalled was without Sanders on the floor, they did not have a second ball handler. All the ball handling capability went to Tyler Rawlison. That's a flaw in the Nevada team They do not have a third ball handler that they can bring in off the bench if somebody gets into foul trouble. And so when Sanders went to the bench, it became all Tyler Rollison. Um, and then, so here we go. We go in at down 3 points, and I was feeling pretty good. I mentioned there's a couple of reasons. One was we shouldn't have been that close, and we figured out a way to start leaking our way back into the game. But the second thing is, I looked at some numbers in terms of our average margin in Moby, and we have a loss. Our average win at Moby is 15 points. We play very, very well at Moby, and we're not always a second half team. We're not always a first half team, but we're a 40-minute team. And I knew that you'd see that change in the second half in terms of the box score turning from shooting threes to shooting twos. So 7 for 13 in the first half. We only shot 8 in the second half. 15 for 24 overall. So 11 for 16 on our twos, 16 twos, 11 makes. And we had how many in the first half? A grand total of 2. So that was the game. They immediately went to Mbemba for an and one. Crocker Johnson immediately scored at the rim, and all of a sudden that 3-point deficit was a 2-point lead. Nevada scored a few, and that CSU was gradually starting to extend the lead. And then Kobe Sanders picked up his 4th foul for Nevada. And that was a huge change in the game. And that electrified the CSU attack. They quickly came in. You saw some bench people come in. You saw Nicola Joppa come in and do an unbelievable job in the second half. Defensively, you can see the second half box score. Nicola in 4 minutes was a +8. And it was all, he didn't score. It was all driven by his defense and his physical play. If you watched him, he was really working Davidson real hard to the point where he frustrated Davidson. And next thing you know, Nick Davidson had 4 fouls. With Davidson on the bench and Sanders on the bench with 4 fouls, as Aaron pointed out, that ended up being the game as CSU quickly established their not just physical presence and physical power, but their speed took over as well. And you started seeing buckets in transition. You saw a Morton steal. You saw a Neek Clifford 3 in transition. You saw guys like Bowen Bourne come in for 4 minutes. I mean, look at that. Keyshawn Williams, 4 minutes. Bowen Bourne, 4 minutes. Nicola Joppa, 4 minutes. All of them +9, +8, +8. That was a great stretch against the Nevada subs. Nevada is short a couple of players off the bench. They don't have, like I said, a third guard who could get them settled down and take the pressure off of Tyler Rollison, who ended up having a great game, but he had to try and do it alone. And if you look at the second half, the points per possession, Nevada's a pretty good defensive team. They are not a bad defensive team. And CSU went 1.48 points per possession in the second half, total of 31 possessions. That's a great half. And the lead extended to 19. I didn't think CSU played really well in the last 9 minutes, but a lot of that was Davidson came back in, Sanders came back in, and Nevada was good with those 2 players on the floor. They were well prepared for CSU. And then the other thing Nevada did was they went to a zone. And once they went to that zone, we really struggled. We had a couple of really just amazingly dumb turnovers. We had limited our turnovers very well in the second half. And then all of a sudden in that zone, Lake threw the ball right to Rollison once. I think I want to say Joppa lost it once. There was a pass by Morton that was supposed to be a lob to Neek that was nowhere near him. Kyan Evans, I think, kicked the ball away. Everybody had a turnover. And it was just an absolute mess against that zone. But when they worked it, when they were patient, they did manage to get good shots. I want to, there's something here. Let me find it. I saw a comment here. Here we go. Taylor. So Taylor, I am not lying when I say this. we were sitting there and I'm watching this possession, and I chat a lot with the guys. We have a lot of people nearby that I chat with, and we talk a lot during the game. We love our Rams. These are regulars I've sat with for a long time. And with about 7 or 8 seconds left in that possession, maybe 10 seconds left in the possession, I turned to him and said, the ball's going to come to Morton late in the clock and he's going to make a three. And like 5 seconds later, the ball came to Ethan Morton in the corner and Ethan Morton made a three. And I was so happy. He is not a great 3-point shooter, but he's not horrible. It was the first make of the year, but a lot of that is because he doesn't look to shoot them. This one he had to, and he just caught it, and he knew he had to shoot because it was late in the clock. He was wide open, and he shot it, and he made it. And I went up to him after the game. I said, Ethan, you have to understand, I called that in the stands, and he started laughing. We had a lot of fun with it. So, but here we go with that stretch that we pulled away. Joppa and Morton played defense really well in that stretch. Lots of switching off. They did play. That was what helped extend the lead. All of a sudden, Nevada ground to a screeching halt. And it was maybe an 8-point game, and all of a sudden it went to a 19-point game, and that made me very, very happy. So that was that was a good run. Here we go. Davidson bugging me with the way he's using his left arm. He's really good. He doesn't push off, but he's crafty about how he uses it. He's big. One of the things that I don't think it shows up so much when you see him on TV, but when you see him in person, he's a lot more physical. He's 240 pounds. He looks on TV like he's 220 because you don't see rippling muscle. That guy's built really well. He's a really good player. And he had his way. He really did. The refs were calling so many fouls. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought they called a good game today, Mile High. I thought that was one of the better called games. Mike Littlewood was there. I'm not a big fan of Mike Littlewood, but the only problems I saw in the first half were the call that went against Rashawn, followed by the makeup call that went against Davidson. And I don't think there was much in the first half. In the second half, a lot of those were fouls on CSU. They showed the replay, and you could see contact. There were little things here and there, but I don't think they really were missing calls, and I don't think they were missing calls against Nevada. Here we go. Sanders reverted to one-on-one second half like he did. I didn't see him play at Cal Poly, but he took one really horrible shot. They were probably not going to win the game, but they were down, I think, 8 and had the ball. And he, I don't know why, but he decided he was going to take Neek and shoot about a 14-footer. And they had been working the ball, and we weren't going to foul Davidson. We were going to try and play him straight up, and they should have been working hard to get the ball to Davidson. And he did just decide to do it on his own, and it was kind of dumb. Rollison did the same thing on a play and tried to challenge, I think it was Mbemba, and just couldn't get it over him, and it missed badly, and we got a rebound. So here we go. Joppa's size made a gigantic difference down low. He was very physical. He was knocking people around, and it is so good to see that. Here's a good comment. Team peaking at the right time. John, I don't think that's a new name. I'm not sure I've had you make a comment. Peaking at the right time. The joy of this team is they just get a little better every time they play. And we saw some really, really good things. If you look at the box score, the overall, let me pull up the overall game box. This is the thing I loved. The first thing I looked at, Corey, you didn't ask for the plus minuses, but the joy of looking at the plus minus here, every player from CSU went anything from a +2 to a +9. Keyshawn Williams +2, +9. In a tight game, when you have all 9 players in the pluses, that is a great collective team effort, and that's what we love to see. Yes, we get scoring out of certain players. Obviously, first-team all-conference player, and certainly a candidate for Player of the Year in the Mountain West, Neek Clifford with 22. He had a great game, and we have a lot of guys that score, but the other guys come in, and the defense is consistent. overtime, and it really. Here we go. I thought the refs were pretty good, pretty much even Steven. Yeah, Corey, I would agree. I thought we might have got the benefit of one call against Davidson in the second half. I thought there was one that foul, the foul that he called they made a bad call there, and then the one I couldn't see on his fifth foul, it wouldn't have made a difference, but they fouled him out. They said they pushed Rashawn. I'm not sure he did, but they called it, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. CSU was going to win that game. This team has bought into minutes, rotation, and playing together. What was interesting today, you saw some funky little rotations, but it was kind of matchup related. When Kobe Sanders went out of the game, there was times in the first half, and I don't think it was in the second half, but the first half you saw Bowen Bourne and Kyan Evans together, because I think they knew they were going to see zone from Nevada, and Bowen Bourne is very, very good about busting a zone. You really want him in there. Keyshawn is too. And so we went with a little smaller lineup. They struggled a little bit defensively, but they kept us in the game because they were outscoring them 3 for 2. But that's a good point, and they are playing together. The joy of this team is they continue to get a little better every time they play, and they're focused. If you listen to the interview I did with Nick Clifford last week, he just flat out said that was last Thursday. It was last Thursday after they came back from Utah State, and they were disappointed, but they had played better the last 28 minutes against Utah State, and he said, we think we can win every game the rest of the year. And I think it's hilarious that you think about this. This team, if we can, these are big ifs, because every game they got to really, really focus. But the next 2 games are against UNLV in Las Vegas. We don't traditionally play well there. That's going to be a tough game. It will be, believe me. We won a game. We lost there last year. They shot about 1 million free throws. They get a lot of whistles there. The year before, Isaiah Stevens went absolutely crazy and hit a 3 at the buzzer, and then hit 3s in overtime, and we walked away with a crazy overtime win. But our good teams traditionally lose there. And so it'll be a very tough game. But if we can figure out a way in that game and figure out a way to beat Air Force, we should, but I never take anything for granted. You got to play these one at a time. But if you project ahead and look at those 2 games, you win those 2. Utah State is in on Saturday, March 1st, and that game will be for second place. And that will be exciting. So here we go. Saturday, real litmus test, chance to win a road game against a top team. One thing they haven't done yet in conference. Yeah, we've been beating the teams we're supposed to. Although Nevada is better than UNLV, I will tell you this, Jake, just based on what I saw. What's really interesting is if you look at the teams we've played at home and go from the top of the table to the bottom of the table, it pretty much mirrors the quality of the teams. So our loss was to New Mexico, who's first. We had a 3-point win to Boise after we blew a big lead. But Boise is a game behind us with 5 losses. And then we had a 5-point win over San Diego State, who's tied with us with 4 losses. And then Nevada, who's sitting back there, I believe they had 6 losses. So they now have 7. They're probably out of the race for the top 5, but we're going to be rooting for them to beat Boise on, I believe they play Boise on Saturday. It would be nice if they could beat Boise and take care of business for us. But it will be a litmus test. I don't think UNLV is as good as Nevada is. We had more problems with Nevada. The matchups are tricky. We should look a little better against UNLV, but for some reason we always struggle there. Big game tomorrow, Lobos Boise. That's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens with New Mexico. They lost 2 players out of their top 6 with Mustafa Amzil, missed the game against Utah State, and CJ Nolan was reported to have gotten a concussion. But I've done some digging, And my sources say there's a good chance CJ Nolan is going to play. So if any New Mexico fans are watching, I know I get a lot of New Mexico fans tuning in. I'm pretty sure you're going to see CJ Nolan tomorrow. Okay, that's what my energy set, my information says. Did I like taking Croc out early in the third, early in the second? Yeah, they had to. They had to. He was picking up fouls. He was struggling defensively today, Corey. He's a good defender. He's got to work on some things just in terms of footwork. But those were all fouls, and probably good to get him out. They really need his mobility and his rebounding, and they didn't have a lot of him in the second half, and they had to juggle some things. Luckily, we have Morton that can come in. Morton may not be as tall, but at least he's physical, and he was able to contribute defensively. But yeah, I think that was a good move. I think they had to do it. So look at this. Need to have another orange out. John, that is actually a game that will be a game that's near and dear to my heart. That will be the Fight Like a Ram game where they honor the cancer survivors. It is a game where I had a player, a redshirt freshman named Jalen Scott, wear my name on his jersey 3 years ago. As I was recovering, I had just finished up chemotherapy after dealing with colon cancer. I'm doing well now, but that is a game that's really, really important to me. And it is Fight Like a Ram night. And I will tell you, last year, Utah State was in first place through pretty much the whole year. And they came into Moby on Fight Like a Ram night, and CSU beat them by 20. So we were obviously very good last year. We're good this year. Utah State's good this year. It will be a great game. They're a second place team, but Fight Like a Ram comes off very differently. And if you think we were tough against San Diego State, which we were, scrappy all across all 94 feet for 40 minutes, I can guarantee you we are going to be very, very scrappy. Honor you and great other survivors. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing that UC Health does. First, I want to say nothing but great things. Those of you who live in Fort Collins, if you have UC Health as your provider, you know how good they are. And this game that they organize, you can't believe what it did for me in terms of lifting my spirits. And some of you know this story because I've told it before. A lot of you who might be new to the channel haven't heard this, but I was asked, I was one of the first people they asked. The woman, I was actually getting, I think one of my chemo infusions, and the woman who runs the program came up and asked me if I was interested in participating in the program. And I said, I would love to do it. I know all about it. And I told her, I have a blog that it's when I was writing, and I said, I do all different, I do all this stuff. And so I'm really, really close with the team. And she said, great. And I said, but here's the deal. I want you, I played basketball when I was younger, and I was a point guard, and I would like it if Isaiah Stevens could wear my name on his jersey. I knew Isaiah very, very well, and I specifically requested it. And she said, oh yeah, we can make that happen. And then, unfortunately, she came to me, and it was my very last infusion. It was actually one I was really struggling with. I had never struggled with the infusions, but for some reason, this one and I tried to eat some food, chicken salad, and I was about ready to vomit. And she came and she said, Steve, please don't hate me. I have some really bad news, but we had to assign the numbers in alphabetical order, and somebody else got Isaiah Stevens, and you're going to be on the back of Jalen Scott. She said, I'm really sorry. You don't hate me, do you? And I looked at her and said, Kathleen, I love you for doing this. It's God's will that works out that way. I'm going to pretend that Isaiah is wearing my name that day. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful thing. But that day I was a point guard, and I was Isaiah, even though he didn't wear my name. And if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God, which I do, Isaiah scored a career high that night. Okay. Isaiah scored 35 points that night. CSU lost to UNLV because Bryce Hamilton scored about 43. and couldn't miss. But that was a team that was ranked all year, 6th seed in the NCAA. It was our only home loss that year, but it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's a game I look forward to. Aztecs up 20 at the half. Not surprising. They're playing Fresno State. You want to talk about a game that should be a blowout? It is. So that's my spiel on the fight like a Ram. We just need to play. I just look forward to the game on Saturday. I'm very, very excited to see how we do. UNLV, you never know. They can be good. They can be bad. Wyoming beat them in Las Vegas. They lost to them. Wyoming lost by 15 in Laramie and beat them by, I forget how many in Las Vegas, but they handled them pretty good. And it's just, you never know what you're going to get with UNLV. They've been known. I mean, I think they beat Utah State, right? They've beaten. They've lost to Boise. They've beaten Utah State. They will give. They still have to play San Diego State. They still. I think they still play New Mexico there as well. So you never know what you're going to get. They have a good guard. I won't say they have a great coach, because they certainly don't. But sometimes they play really, really well, and for some reason they play awfully well against us. So here we go. Yeah, can't wait for March 1st. Huge game, a bigger meaning behind it. The bottom line is the game is the thing. I actually talked with Nico about this. They used to call it bigger than basketball. And I used to tell Nico, nothing is bigger than the game. Nothing is bigger than the game itself. It isn't. So last year they changed the name to Fight Like a Ram, which I think is way more appropriate, because I thought, and I asked Nico, I said, does it put too much pressure on the players? Because they get real busy. You can't believe how much they engage. They'll do a conference, as like a Zoom meeting, where you meet the cancer survivors. They'll go visit. They'll make visits to the UC Health, the cancer center, and meet with people who are actually getting chemo infusions and getting checked out by doctors. And they spend a lot of time doing it. It's a very, very time and very involved event for the players. And I asked, and Nico didn't think it was a problem, but I said, it would be. I just think you need to communicate. If they want to talk, if they ever want to hear me and just my spiel on it, it's we don't want them to feel sorry for us as cancer survivors. We just want them to play hard and go out and do what it takes to win. And the joy we get watching these guys play hard and win is enough for us. And if they lose but they play hard, so be it. And so last year it changed to Fight Like a Ram, and it is a very meaningful game. And I might try and I'm thinking about this for one of my Thursday night shows before March 1st. I might see if I can get somebody from UC Health to come on just to talk about it, because it is a very, very special game. Just going through the box score just real quick, Neek 22, 9-5. And of course we were laughing, the very last miss by Nevada. Kyan Evans got the rebound, and I turned to my neighbor and said, shit, Kyan should have left that for Neek to get his 10th, to get his double-double. Oh my God, look at this. Tanjay, another 32 tonight, and big win over John Tanjay. Could be Big Ten Player of the Year. They're operating right near first place now. I think everybody's been kind of losing, and Wisconsin has been sneaking up. And I believe if you look at the net rankings, I believe Wisconsin, with a win at Purdue, where John had 32, and 32 over Illinois tonight, John is red hot. Here we go. My wife has a friend that works on the oncology floor, cancer survivor as well. That second floor of the UC Health Cancer Center, those people are amazing. And I will tell you, I pray to God you never have to experience it. But if you do, and if you're with UC Health, the care there is absolutely wonderful. I had a great oncologist. Every one of my infusions went well, other than the last one where you can get really sick from it. You can get nauseous, but it actually went really, really well for me. So I have nothing but great things to say about UC Health. Joey B, J Bad. J Bad's one of my great buddies for the last 20 years. Thanks for the content. Keep up the great work. Nice. Joey's from New Jersey. Scotch Plains or Chatham? Was it a Chatham, wasn't it? I had friends in college that were from Chatham. Joey B's a rich kid from northern New Jersey, but he doesn't act like a rich kid. He's a tough guy. He's a good guy. So East Coast guy, just like me. Happy for John Tanjay for sure. That is amazing. Here we go. Chatham Township, not far from Scotch Plains. I know that. They're right next to each other. I had a friend who was on the tennis team at Duke who went to Chatham. I had a friend who was a good athlete, was the intramural champ one year, got the trophy as the top intramural athlete in all of Duke University by participating in lots of events and being really good in lots of sports. He was from Scotch Plains. What a we worked hard to get him his trophy. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, that was it was a great game. I kind of I diverted from Braden Smith. I don't know. Is Purdue still in first place? I don't know. John is really coming on. They're both nominated for the Naismith Award, which is pretty amazing. John, I don't know if anybody saw the tweet I put out, but he won like National Player of the Week. There was somebody who did this, did an award, National Player of the Week, and they talked about just how tough he was. And I posted something, and it's the truth. When John was playing at CSU, John relished going one-on-one with David Roddy. And so you had John, who was about 6'5", 210, and John was a horse at 210, built like a rock. Roddy, of course, a future first-round draft pick at 6'5" and 250 pounds. And they would go at it one-on-one, and John was fearless and developed some great one-on-one skills. And I guarantee you, if I talk to him today, he'll say, yeah, I loved going against Roddy because it made me tougher, made me better. And I have nothing but nice things to say about John Tanjay. John worked very, very hard, and good things come to good people. I'm so happy for him. He did work hard. When he left CSU after 4 years, he had done some great things. He had some big scoring games. And the only thing that he was lacking that he's finally found this year is just a little bit of consistency. By playing more and more and more, his judgment has gotten better, and he makes a lot better decisions with the ball. He was known every once in a while to dribble into a cul-de-sac and turn the ball over. He has learned, and he has built himself up physically, and he's a great, great scorer. Leading scorer in the state of Nebraska as a high school player, took his team all the way to the state championship final game. So, Corey, most fun I ever had playing hoops was being a practice player against the PSU women. I could tell endless stories about those practices. I'm sure you can. Here, BYU destroying Kansas tonight. Kansas has gotten bad. And what's really funny watching Kansas is how bad they've gotten with Hunter Dickinson at center. They're paying that guy about $2 million a year in NIL, and they're terrible. He's gotten worse and worse. He's the one that beat CSU 3 years ago in Indianapolis, but he transferred from Michigan and ended up at Kansas, taking a lot of money, and then came back, because he's going to make more money in NIL at Kansas than he'd make in the NBA. He's not going to play in the NBA. He doesn't have enough versatility to get up and down the floor and be effective. He's big and he's talented around the rim, but those guys don't count anymore in the NBA. So Here's a nice comment from Lee. Bourne not scoring like he did at UNI, but so key in keeping up the pace. I was mad he missed a free throw today, but if you look at Bowen's game, let me pull up the. Let me see if I can pull up Ken Palm. I want to see what the O ratings were. Let's do this. CSU moved up. They moved ahead finally of Nevada up to 69th between Liberty and McNeese, right behind Richie McKay, former CSU coach. And let's share this tab. Let's see what Bowen Bourne, O rating 147. Ethan Morton, 242. Ethan is a low possession guy, 3% of the possessions, but 4 rebounds, 5 points, 1 assist. Ethan does what he does, and he hit that big 3. Neek, of course, MVP of the game. Shocker there. Hey, let's go to the stats. Player stats. Player of the year. You'll never see Neek up in the top 10 of the Pomeroy Player of the Year because they look at John Tonje has moved up into 5th. Braden Smith 3rd, John Tonje 5th, Hunter Dickinson 6th. That shows you how bad this kind of rating is. They take the best guys on the highest ranked teams. But let's look at the game MVP leaders. And what do you see? Leading the nation in game MVPs. That's an algorithmic thing that Ken Palm does. I don't know. God dang. I lost my can anybody see me? For some reason I'm flipping in and out of my software. Let's go in and see if I can make this work. So here we go. Remove that one. It should be. Oh gosh. Let's see. No, I'm having this echo thing. You can see me, but unfortunately, am I sounding? Can you hear an echo with me, or is it just me hearing it? Is my sound bad? Let me know. Somebody let me know. Is my sound bad? No echo. Okay, I'm just getting it here because it created a second window for me, and I muted the mic, and it should work, and it doesn't. Anyway, if I go to this Ken, what do you see? Neek Clifford leading algorithm game MVPs with 15. Number 2, Cooper Flag, tied for number 3, Janai Broom. Those are the 2 players who will win. One of those 2 will win the Naismith Award. Nick Clifford has more MVPs. And if you go down, number tied for 8, Donovan Dent, who is considered the runaway leader for MVP, player of the year in the Mountain West. Unfortunately, the player of the year in the Mountain West is going to go to the team that's in first place. The only way Neek will be considered is if somewhere in the grand scheme of things, New Mexico starts losing games, and CSU wins out and gets into a tie for first. They might consider Neek. I don't think Neek has a chance to win the Player of the Year, but his numbers say he should be very much up there and very much in the running. He's certainly a first-team All-Conference player. What's going to be interesting to see is whether somebody else gets recognized from CSU, like a Kyan Evans. Somebody had a comment earlier about me getting into it with Jeff Grammer. I don't get into it with Jeff. Here we go. Swole on the warpath against Mr. Grammer. Not really on the warpath. I just want to point out it just gets ridiculous to just say, oh, he's obvious this guy's the best player in the league when you have all kinds of analytics and you don't have to believe the advanced analytics. But the Neek has better advanced analytics than anybody in the league. He's top. He's either first or second in every measure out there, and he's ahead of Dent in everything. He's got more versatility to his game. Donovan Dent is a great point guard. Don't get me wrong. I love the kid. I, I, I would tell you he's probably player of the year because New Mexico is in first place. But it's a shame that people write off Neek so easily because he plays on a team that doesn't have Nelly Jr. Joseph. Now all of a sudden you hear Nelly Jr. Joseph is as good as Nick Clifford, and that's crazy. Nelly Jr. Joseph is the best big man in the league, but he happens to play on a better team with a great point guard. Now all of a sudden you hear this, you hear that, and before you know it, everybody from New Mexico is going to be first team All Mountain West. The way they're playing very, very good, but you think they beat Utah State by more than 3 the other night with the way they're talking. So they're very, very good, and I'm not begrudging Donovan Dent, and I'm not begrudging Nelly Joseph. But I think it's silly not to consider Nick Clifford as a legitimate candidate for Player of the Year. So Purdue thought they were getting Hunter Dixon backed out. That was actually the best thing that could have happened to them, Corey. Zach he was so much better. So it's amazing. He killed CSU because we had who was our that year? Pat Carty, and then Roddy got matched up on him, and they could not figure out a way. We played a lot of small ball that year, and we couldn't figure out a way. Anyway, the other thing. Oh, I forgot to mention. The third. The third reason why I felt good coming out of halftime was, in case you didn't know it, the beer for a year is now 7 for 7 as a young man on about his 5th or 6th attempt. Hit one clean. He just missed one the shot before and then hit one clean. 7 for 7 on beer for a year. So that was exciting, and I felt pretty good. Joke that not ranked in Lobo's not. That is an absolute joke. You can tell that people east of the Mississippi do not watch basketball out west. If you watch New Mexico play, they are very, very good, and they're definitely a top 25 team. I will tell you this: they have one flaw, and the one flaw is they do not have a backup big for Nelly Jr. Joseph, and they come up against a rugged, physical team that has 2 good bigs that can work him inside. It will be very, very interesting because when he gets into foul trouble, they have 2 losses. He's picked up 4 fouls or 5 fouls. They're lost to San Jose State. He was out a lot of the game with foul trouble. If you watched the Utah State game, he went out with 2 fouls in the first half, and he struggled with foul issues. And so they struggle without him. And so that's the one flaw they have. They have a lot of good wings, and their backcourt is dynamite with Donovan Dent and True Washington and C.J. Nolan. They have 3 really, really good guards. When you got a guy like C.J. Nolan coming off the bench, he's a dynamite player. So here we go. Let's see what this Clifford is clearly the better player. Just imagine if he had a legitimate big guy. Well, I don't know if he's clearly better. It's a different. It's just a different thing. He has a more well-rounded game. If you want somebody who can get to the rim and hit pull-up jumpers, Donovan Dent is incredible getting to the rim, and he's a wonderful distributor of the ball on pick and roll. He's unbelievable in the open court, but he does not have the offensive versatility of Nick Clifford. And the other thing, Donovan Dent is a decent defender. If you look, his stats are actually pretty good. A lot of steals this year. But if you watch CSU today, you saw what Nick Clifford does defensively by what Kobe Sanders did. Kobe Sanders scored 8 points. Kobe Sanders is usually good for 13 points. Nick had him. He had the guard on him, kept him down. And then on the other end of the floor, who got Kobe Sanders in foul trouble, who basically fouled him out. So too busy flipping coins. His daughter flips the coins, and it's okay. I'm actually good friends with Jeff. I don't know if you know the story, Lee, but his daughter uses a silver dollar that I gave her. I gave her a silver. She came on a road trip when he was here in December, and I tracked him down and I saw her, and I had a silver dollar for her. So her coin flips are with silver dollars. So I root for her, and of course the joke is every time she does better than Jeff, I just say the coin don't lie. So he's all good. Uh, he's not a hand me down. He's a very good player. He's gotten better. He has improved. You will not say anything. He's the best center in the Mountain West. If I could have a team with Nelly Jr. Joseph and Magoon Bloth up front, with Nick Clifford at the three, with uh, Donovan Dent obviously at the one. Actually, I'd take Nick Clifford at the two and Tyson Degenhardt at the three. Uh, I'd be pretty good. Or if you want, I can take Mason Paulson at the two to go with Dent, Clifford at the three, and I'd have a pretty darn good team. So you will not hear me say anything about Billy Jr. Joe's. Rams the best depth, only matched by the Aggies. I would say New Mexico has decent depth, but what's really interesting is when they get in games against big teams, Lee, they really shortened the bench. They went to 6.5 against CSU in the pit. They went to they were down to 6 when Nolan went out of the game against Utah State. They were down to 6, and that's what kept the game close. They don't have the they don't have he doesn't have a third guard that he trusts without Nolan in there. So they really need CJ to come back. He doesn't have a good backup for Nelly Jr. Joseph, and so they had to go with Milosevic and Borovicanin as their front line, and they had to kind of mix and match a couple other guys. But Utah State, I would agree. Utah State has great depth, and they rely on their depth. They bring guys off the bench, and that's usually when they bury other teams. Is when they bring guys off the bench. They got a couple of guys that don't start but come in after 3 minutes. Usually it's Dexter Acano, and sometimes Drake Allen starts. Sometimes he doesn't start, and he comes in, and both those guys really light it up. So anyway. He's not better than me. And Grammer Grammer said he had moved into a tie for second with Meek as player of the year. I said he started trying to justify it with obscure stats, and he tried to say that when teams game plan for New Mexico, they game plan for the defense of Nelly Joseph, and I didn't argue with that. I know that CSU doesn't game plan. They game plan for the entire defense, not just Nelly Jr. Joseph. They have to game plan for guys like True Washington, who's possibly the best perimeter defender in the league. So there's all kinds of good stuff that New Mexico does. 5 guys linked together and very connected. And Nelly Jr. Joseph is a very good shot blocker, very good about hedging and taking away a lot of the actions at the top of the key. But CSU has figured out a way sometimes to deal with that. So I don't think he's the guy that Grammer's still much better than BJ Rich. Not even close. Grammer's unbelievable. I just think I just think he's turned into more of a homer than normal this year. He's getting carried away with the fact he's covering a great team. And you will never see Kevin Lytle of the Colorado and boost Nick Clifford time again on Twitter with what a basketball god he is and how people are idiots for not looking at him. Kevin doesn't do that. Jeff typically doesn't do that. This year he's gotten really carried away. So I don't know. He still covers the league better than anybody else. I'm not criticizing him. I think he's just getting excited. Steve and I are old. We sat on the old out benches in Moby back in the WAC days. You bet, the good old days. Teams usually shorten the bench by March. Do you think Nico will? Um, a little bit, but it won't be. It'll be just in terms of minutes. If I look at, let me go back to the box score. Let's go find the box score. I bet you guys played a few more minutes than they would normally play, but he did. Nick played 35. He's been playing 38. Lake has been playing about 32. Evans about 30 to 32. Mbemba played more minutes today. 27 is a lot for him. Crocker Johnson in foul trouble, 16. Morton 30, usually down around 25. So Joppa 8, Williams 10, Bourne 12. It's about normal, but I would say a lot of the Morton minutes were eating up Crocker Johnson's minutes between them. 46 minutes between the two of them is about right. So he really didn't shorten it today, and I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I think he realizes that one of the strengths this year is the depth of the team. So we shall see. Anyway, it was a great win. Um, I was I was nervous, as I said. We had some good discussion about the first half. I don't think the Rams necessarily opened badly. They just couldn't get the ball inside. Some of that was Nevada, and some of that was CSU just not doing what they needed to do. And then defensively, they just need to tighten up. They started to, and then when they came out in the second half, I started feeling good. The first two possessions, and after that, it was kind of Katie bar the doors. They felt the lead up to 19. So here we go. Joe, do you still keep in touch with Dale Lair, assistant at Texas A&M, with Buzz Williams, who was Dale's assistant at CSU back in the early 2000s. Nice to see the old guard from CSU coaching tree succeeding at P5 levels. There are all kinds of guys doing well. You know, Nico's tree, J.R. Blunt is a big assistant at Iowa State. Aaron Katsuma came here and spent a few years, and he's now at New Mexico. And you see him getting involved with a lot of stuff. You'll see him getting involved in timeouts. Dave Thorson up in Minnesota. Uh, let's see who else. Who else we got? Ross Hodge, who is here under Eustace, is head coach at North Texas. North Texas's top 65 program. Jace Hurl, who's an assistant here, is an assistant with Ross. So there's all kinds of guys. I haven't talked to Dale, Joey, to be honest with you. I haven't talked to Dale in a while. I'll probably shoot him an email right before the tournament, and it'll be exciting. So for them, I hope things work out for them. Buzz is a great coach. His personality is he's very effervescent, and I love that. And Dale's a great guy on the bench. He does a lot of the charting and stat keeping, and we'll go in with some here we go, impressive number of assists. How many? I didn't even check. We usually share it pretty good. 21 assists on 24 made field goals, 0.875. What was funny was Nevada piled up the assists early, but they really struggled in the second half until they got Davidson back in the game, and they had a bunch of assists to him, I think, in the second half. But look at the assists. No one. Kobe Sanders had 3. Everybody else with 2. Look at our guys: 5, 5, 4, sharing the ball. Our bench guys: 2 assists, 2 assists, 1 assist. 5 assists off the bench. They had 2. So that's the kind of thing. The bench, the bench strength isn't just scoring; it's sharing the ball, it's running the offense, it's doing the little things necessary to win. So it was. You're right, John. Impressive number of assists. So it was Ram basketball in the second half to blow the lead up to 19. After trailing by 8, figure we outscored them there's a period we outscored them therefore by 27 points. That's laying the wood to a pretty good team. Nevada is a top 75 team. That's there's still a quad 1 win on the road, and they're right on the edge of a quad 2 win at home. So CSU moves to if you beat CSU at home, they're a quad 1. If New Mexico got a quad 1 beating them at home, CSU on the road is a quad 2 team. So we'll go into Las Vegas, and that'll be a quad 2 game. I haven't been looking at the quads. I don't think the quads really matter. This team is not. Even if they win out 16-4, I don't think they're going to have a chance to get up to earn an out large. I do. They win out and win 2 games of the tournament and get to the championship, maybe. But I wouldn't count on it. I think they have to win the tournament. And the good news is we're showing that we can beat good teams. We just have to show that we can win a game in Las Vegas on Saturday. So I'm pumped with that. I'm going to call it a night. I've gone an hour. Everybody, thank you for participating. I have a lot of fun. Nico have to decide. This is actually a really good point. Decide minutes between Nicola, Kyle. When Kyle returned, Kyle sat out again. He's kinda I think he was dressed, but, there is a precaution if things really went bad with Mukamba and Joppa, and they didn't. So, Kyle was able to rest, but you're absolutely right. There may be some decisions. Kyle offers a little more excuse me, Kyle offers a little more versatility in terms of spreading the floor. Nicola offers a little more in terms of getting physical inside, and depending on matchups, you might see one or the other used. Regardless, I'm going to have Kyle on my Thursday night show. I'm excited to have Kyle to talk about his freshman year and what it's been like learning the position and learning going around the Mountain West. Um, it'll be fun. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Everybody, God, I don't have. I had something set up and it went away, and I don't know why. But I'm going to end with a. We do have an outro. The intro disappeared. I didn't get to show my pretty intro, which I love, but we'll do that next time. Join me on Thursday night for Final Score. Not Thursday, Swallowpalooza Thursday. And then Saturday, I'm probably going to do two shows back to back, only because of timing. We play the very late game against UNLV, and I don't think it's till, I think it's 9 o'clock. I don't know if it's 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock our time. But the game before it is a big one with let's see, San Diego State at Utah State, which will be a very, very big game. So I usually do my weekend wrap show with Tom Moser on Saturday night after all the games. I didn't want to keep Tom up crazy late at night till well after, till 1:30 in the morning. So I will my weekend wrap show with Tom after the San Diego State at Utah State game. We'll cover the first four games on the schedule, and then I will come on and I will kind of watch out of the corner of my eye the CSU UNLV game, and then I'll come on and we'll do a final score show afterwards. So I'll do two shows Saturday night. So hopefully you're able to stop by Thursday for Smallpalooza Thursday. If not, stop by Saturday night. We have a lot of fun with the Mountain West Rap Show, and then obviously Final Four. Thanks everybody for joining me. It's been great. Once again, CSU moves to 11-4 in the Mountain West, 17-9 overall with a 79-71 win over the Nevada Wolfpack. Have a great night, everybody. Go Rams.